Welcome to Vintage Car Curiosities, where we dig into the strange, bold, and sometimes downright dangerous ideas from automotive history. In 1973, General Motors introduced something they refused to call an airbag. They called it the Air Cushion Restraint System, ACRS for short, and for good reason. GM's own marketing research showed that the word bag made people think of garbage bags and suffocation. So every brochure, every dealer training manual, and every press release carefully used the term air cushion. Their own engineers privately called them the pillows. But that never made it outside the lab. On paper, the idea was simple. Americans weren't wearing seatbelts, only about 20% at the time, so GM decided to build a system that could protect people who refused to buckle up. The ACRS was designed as a complete seatbelt replacement, not a supplement. That's why the cushions were dramatically larger and deployed with much more force than anything we have today. Here's where it gets really interesting. The system used sodium azide, the same propellant found in solid rocket boosters. When it fired, the cushion inflated in roughly 40 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. Inside the cushion, temperatures shot past 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Early prototypes were so violent, they shattered steering columns and blew horn pads across test labs. It took engineers nearly 4 years just to make the deployment survivable for an adult. The passenger side cushion was enormous, about the size of a fully inflated trash bag, and it deployed from a completely invisible seam in the dashboard. There was no panel, no marking, nothing to warn you that an explosive device was sitting behind the glove box. But the real problems started showing up fast. GM's sensor was purely mechanical, a steel ball held in place by a spring. In a crash above roughly 12 to 14 miles per hour, the ball would roll forward and fire the system. During testing, the same sensor deployed when a car simply hit a pothole at moderate speed. The system couldn't tell the difference between a real crash and a hard bump in the road. Even more disturbing, during internal crash testing in the late 1960s, a rear-facing infant dummy was destroyed by the passenger cushion's deployment force. The results were so alarming that GM added warnings in the owner's manual telling people to never put children in the front seat. The first time any American automaker had ever issued such a warning. When the system did deploy in real accidents, the car filled with a dense white cloud of sodium hydroxide residue and talcum powder. Survivors reported temporary blindness, difficulty breathing, and chemical burns. Some thought the car was on fire. Emergency responders in the early 1970s had no idea what they were looking at. The whole program only lasted 2 model years. By 1975 it was gone, killed by a combination of the oil crisis, low customer interest, and the fact that the incoming Secretary of Transportation dropped the proposed federal airbag mandate. No American production car would offer an airbag again until 1984. Today, these 1973 and 1974 ACRS-equipped cars are considered genuinely hazardous by many restoration shops. The sodium azide propellant has been sitting inside steering wheels and dashboards for over 50 years with no official guidance on how to safely deactivate it. Some shops won't even touch these cars without a hazmat team removing the inflators first. The 1973-74 GM Air Cushion Restraint System remains one of the most ambitious and cautionary chapters in American automotive safety history. A bold attempt to protect people from themselves that ultimately showed just how complicated that job really is. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage today. These old cars sure have some wild stories, don't they? If you've got a strange feature or a crazy safety story of your own from back in the day, drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, keep the oil changed and the classics rolling.